we did we talk about immunity? Like you see about the white blood cells. Did we talk about that last time?
Yes, sir. We talk
Yes, sir,
about
we
that.
did.
Okay. Now, guys, let's talk about the types of immunity. Now, guys, basically, there are two types of. One type of immunity is called as active immunity, and second type is called as passive immunity. Even the active immunity is divided into two types. One type of active immunity is called as natural active immunity, and second type is called as artificial active immunity. Now, first of all, let's talk about the active immunity. Now, guys, if let's suppose that you see right now I'm sitting over here, I'm teaching you guys, right? What happens that from the air, some pathogen enters into my body. Now, on the basis of the antigen, my white blood cells, my lymphocytes, they will recognize that pathogen. And when they will recognize that pathogen, my lymphocytes, they will start producing antibodies against. Now, just imagine what happened that a pathogen entered into my body naturally. I'm just sitting over here, and without me knowing, the pathogen entered into my body naturally, right? And my body's white blood cells, my own body's white blood cells, they produced the antibodies against the antigens of that particular, you see, pathogen. Now, as my own body's white blood cells took part in production of the antibodies, my own, you see, body took part actively in, you see, producing the immune system. So this kind of immunity will be called an as a natural active immunity. This kind of immunity will be called natural active immunity. Now, what is artificial active immunity? Now, let's suppose you see what do we, in the artificial active immunity, there is a huge role of vaccines. Now, guys, let me tell you, the old vaccines, they contained dead or inactive pathogens. Now, guys, let me tell you one thing. Let's suppose that over here, this is a bacterium, and this bacterium is dead. Now, this bacterium is dead. Can it cause any disease? Answer is no, because it is dead. But the antigens are still present on its surface. but the antigens are still present on its surface. Just imagine, just imagine that if a dead pathogen is injected into a person's body, as it is dead, it will not be able to cause any disease, but antigens are there on its surface. So white blood cells, they will recognize the antigens, they will produce antibodies. Some of the lymphocytes, they will change into plasma cells. Some of the lymphocytes, they will change into memory cells. Now, if next time an alive pathogen enters the body of the same type, now the antibodies are also there and memory cells are also there. So what they will do? They will act against it. They will destroy the pathogen right away and the person will not become sick. All right. So now this is the active immunity. My own body's white blood cells, they made the antibodies. They reacted against the antigens. But we stimulated the immune system artificially by adding dead pathogens inside the body. So that is why it is called as artificial active immunity. Did you guys understand this concept?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? Interesting or not?
Interesting.
Now, right? Now, nowadays, they are saying that you see, get the coronavirus vaccine. Today, inshallah, I'm going to get my dose of coronavirus vaccine first. So, this corona, now I just told you that this is the old method that you see, they were dead germs. Now, the new method is what? That they don't put dead germs in it, dead pathogens in it. There are parts of the dead pathogens. Sorry, there are parts of the pathogen in the new vaccines. There are parts of pathogens, like they can only inject what? Antigens, right? They can only inject the antigens. So when the antigens, they will go inside the body, they are not part of our body. So the white blood cells, they will produce antibodies against them. They will produce the plasma cells. They will produce the memory cells. Another thing, boys, that this active immunity, it's a long-term immunity. This active immunity, it is a long-term immunity. Now, if you guys remember, you guys have heard that if you get chicken pox once in your life, you will never get it. Why don't you get chicken pox again in your life? What is the reason behind it?
Sir,
Really?
sir,
Yes, yes, son.
sir, because the our body already produced antibodies against it.
Yes, because of the memory cells present in the body. Because of the memory cells present in the body. The memory cells, they will remember that this is the chickenpox virus. If it will enter into the body again, they have to produce this kind of antibodies. Now, when I was in grade 3, I got chickenpox. I am 104 years old now. I never got the chickenpox again. Why? Because what happened? My body developed the, you see, these memory cells. Now, it does not mean that afterwards this chickenpox virus never entered in my body. Maybe it entered yesterday when I went to the gym. Maybe it entered, you see, some other time. But I'm not getting sick because of the chickenpox. Why? Because my body has the this, you see, memory cells and antibodies already present in it. So when this pathogen enters in the body, they destroy it right away. So this is what? This is what? This is a
Active
long,
immunity.
sorry? Yes, it's a long term. It gives the immunity for the whole life. Now, guys, let's talk about the passive immunity. Now, guys, for passive immunity is a short-term immunity. And it lasts maximum 3 to 4 years, 3 to 4 months. Now, what is actually passive immunity? In this, what do? They inject antibodies in a person. Now, these antibodies, they are made in some other organism. Now, let me give you an example.
Sir, they're also genetically engineered.
Yes, not genetically engineered. There is other method that is called monoclonal antibodies. You will learn about them in A levels. Now, now, what happens that you see, you have heard of a, you see that whenever a dog bites, you get 6 injections, right? Otherwise, you can have a disease which is called as rabies. What is this disease, rabies? The person becomes, you see, psychologically, you see, afraid of water. Now, the person becomes so much afraid of water that the person don't even drink the water. The person don't even drink the water, and a person can die because of thirst. Now, it's a viral disease, and there is no medicine to kill viruses. Boys, this question can come, that why there is no medicine to kill the viruses. Who will like to answer this question? Any one of you?
Sir, because different dogs have different types of
No,
antigens.
I'm question.
Sir, they
We
have a
cannot
protective
kill viruses.
protein code. Sir, they have a protective protein code around them.
No, no.
Oh, sir, they're not living, nor they're living, but they're
Very
not live too, sir,
yes.
because
This
they
is the
live in
answer.
a host, hijack it, and then they live it.
Very
Yeah.
good. This is the answer, that viruses, they are non-living things. Right, boys?
Yes, sir.
Right, boys? Now,
Yes, sir.
now next thing. As they're non-living things, so we cannot kill them. So, if a person gets this, you see, bitten by the dog, he is definitely going to become infected. And he is going to get this rabies disease. So, what do we do to protect that person? So, what do? We inject him with the antibodies. Now, what these antibodies will do, that they will go inside the blood, they will bind with the rabies virus. Then the white blood cells, the phagocytes, they will come and they will eat it. Now, the antibodies are produced in some other animal. Let's suppose that we injected the rabies in the mouse, and the antibodies produced in the mouse, we have extracted them from its blood and we have injected into a human to get protection. So, as nothing is done, you see, in this immune system of the human did not do anything, right? Antibodies are produced where? Outside, in some other person's body, and injected into the person who is being bitten. So that is why this kind of immunity is called as passive immunity. This kind of immunity is called as passive immunity. And as antibodies are proteins, so all the proteins or all the chemicals, they have a life, right? So they can stay inside the body for maximum 3 to 4 months. So question can come, remember boys, why passive immunity lasts for only 3 to 4 months? So the first point what you will write, that the antibodies injected, they get used up. Second point which you can write, that antibodies, they break down in the body because they are proteins and all the molecules present in the body, they always break down. So these antibodies, they can get broken down in the body. All right boys, so that is why once these antibodies, they are injected in the body, they can provide immunity for maximum 3 to 4 months. Another example of the passive immunity is Claustrum. Now guys, let me explain you what is Claustrum. You know that we are human beings or we are mammals. Now all the mammals, they are called mammals because the mammals, they have mammary glands. And the mammals, their mothers, they feed milk to the young ones. Now when mother, a mammal, is pregnant and she gives birth to a young one, to a child, right after the birth, the milk that is produced in the mammary glands, that is called as colostrum. Now this milk, which is, you see, right after birth, right at birth, now this milk is called colostrum and it contains antibodies. Now guys, you guys know that the babies, they are present inside the body of the mother. Now when the babies, they are present inside the body of the mother, they are in the cleanest environment. They are not exposed to any germ or any pathogen. So when they become born, they come into this world, they get exposed to the air, they get exposed to the things around them. And those things around them, they contain germs, air contains germs, pathogens. So these human beings, these organisms, the mammals, they can become infected, right? So what happens that Allah has made this colostrum which contains antibodies against all the germs that a mother became exposed to. Let's suppose that a mother who is 30 years old, she came across thousands of pathogens in her life. And there are thousands of types of antibodies present inside that mother's body. So those thousands of types of antibodies will be present in this colostrum. So when the baby drink this milk, colostrum will get passive immunity for about 3 to 4 months. Now you will ask question, sir, what will happen after 3 to 4 months? Now those 3 to 4 months are enough. During those 3 to 4 months, the baby will be exposed to the air. So his own active immunity will start working. His own white blood cells, they will start producing what? The plasma cells and memory cells. Not only that, you guys know that the kids, they get the injections of the vaccines. Even you see, if you were in this school about 3 4 years ago, the Ministry of Health people, they came and they gave you guys also injections of MMR vaccine. Did you guys get the vaccine or not from the school?
Yes, sir, we got.
Right? So you see, this vaccine, this is what, this is to get immunity. The your the newborn His active immunity becomes active. But for the beginning, he gets the passive immunity from the mother's milk, which is called claustrum. Understood, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? So if a question comes that differentiate between active immunity and passive immunity, you can easily solve this question. Now was next thing, which were the last topic of this chapter, that is the autoimmune disorder. Now, boys, this autoimmune disorder, what is this? Now, what happens? Now, let me tell you a little bit idea. Who will tell me what is this organ?
Pancreas.
Very good. This organ is pancreas. Now, boys, in the pancreas, there are special cells. These cells, they are called as islets of Langerhans. Now, they call islets of Langerhans. Now, this word islet, it is derived from an English word island. Now, island is a small piece of land around which there is water. Now, these are small, you see, concentration of cells around which there are other types of cells are present. So as these are special cells around which other types of cells are present, so he gave it the name islets. But question is why Langerhans? Because there was a scientist, his name was Langerhans. He discovered these cells. So as he discovered these cells, that is why these cells are called as islets of Langerhans. Now, in these islets of Langerhans, there are two types of cells. One type of cells are called beta cells, and other type of cells they are called as alpha cells. We'll learn about them in detail later in grade 9, inshallah. Now, boys, these beta cells they produce a hormone which is called as insulin, and this insulin it goes to the liver and it acts when the glucose concentration is high. When the glucose concentration is high, at that time this insulin it converts the glucose into glycogen. In maintaining the blood glucose level. Now, what happens that in autoimmune disorder or disease, the word auto it means itself. Now the white blood cells they go mad and the white blood cells they destroy our own body's beta cells. Now boys imagine when the white blood cells they will go mad and they will destroy a person's own beta cells, the body cells. So as a person's own white blood cells are destroying the cells of its own body, so that's why it is called as autoimmune itself disorder. And in this disorder, what happens that when the beta cells they will be destroyed, insulin cannot be produced anymore. And boys, just imagine when the insulin will not be able to be produced, then what will happen? Then the glucose cannot be changed to glycogen. And as the glucose cannot be changed to glycogen anymore, so the blood glucose level will start remain high. And this will cause a disease which is called as diabetes type 1. Or this is called as type 1 diabetes. Now, normally you have heard about the diabetes in which blood glucose level remains high. That usually happens to the people who are above the age of 40. But this autoimmune disorder, this type 1 diabetes, this can happen to a 6-month-old baby as well. It can happen from the 6-month-old baby up till the age of 25 to 26. It can happen that. And in this case, the person will have to take the injections of the insulin throughout her life or his life. The insulin is not made because all the beta cells they are dead, because the white blood cells they destroyed them. Now let me give you one example. Do you guys know Wasim Akram?
Yes, sir.
Right, he is the Pakistani cricketer. Wasim Akram, do you know him?
Yes, sir, I know him.
Yes, sir.
As the coach of Karachi Kings right now, and a former cricketer.
Very good fast bowler. Good.
Right now, next thing that you see, you see this Wasim Akram, he got diabetes type 1 when he was 18 years old. And he is living with it. He has to take the insulin injections every day, right? And you see, you see, they have to take at least you see these injections 2 times a day, because you see mostly the people they take 2 big meals, right? So with each big meal they have to take the insulin injection according to the recommendations by the doctor. All right, understood?
Yes, sir, understood.
Yes, sir, understood.
Now boys, next thing that this you see this autoimmune disorder, question comes that how does this happen? Answer is simple, no one knows that. Scientists still do not know
Sir.
why the white blood cells they attack our own body cells.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, like in the process of the attack, so like if sir steroids are given, so it will suppress it, sir, so your body won't attack it. So could that be one way?
Now steroids are, you see, listen, steroids are of zillion types, many types.
Yes,
Now
sir.
the steroids job is not that to you see suppress the immune system. There are special drugs that suppress the immune system. All right, they are
Yeah.
called cyclosporins. They are not the steroids. They suppress the immune system. We'll talk about them in grade 9 inshallah, when we'll talk about the kidney transplant.
Okay.
Now what actually you see, actually what is the problem? The person do not know when it is happening.
Okay, sir. Uh,
Can you hear me, boys?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't know, something went wrong. Okay. So what I was saying, that we actually do not know when this process is going to happen, this autoimmune system is going to start, right? So that is why we cannot take any action. It we get to know once the damage is done. All right.
Yes, sir.
Boys, our this chapter is finished. So inshallah, we will start the next chapter in the next class. Let me share this lecture with you guys in the OneNote. Okay, boys, see you guys inshallah in next class. Take care and Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, sir.
Okay.
Allah Hafiz, sir.
Allah Hafiz.